Hi, welcome to Sylvie's Technique Blog. I'm going to be talking about something that I've been working on a lot. Actually, a number of people have taught it to me, but I've been working on it a lot because Pet Papalang just came to my gym and he does this on his knees. So it's about rising on your feet when you're doing kicks and knees. And it's not in opposition to, but it is in tandem with turning your foot or stepping out. So you don't not go up on your heel when you're turning out. You don't not turn just because you're coming up on your toe, but you significantly reduce how you turn when you're coming up instead. So it's this kind of like rising thing that you will have seen if you've seen any of Karahat's videos in the Muay Thai library. So I'll show you my feet. You're going to be like rising up on your knee. See if I can get a good shot of that. As you come up, that's showing it. So the idea is that you're like floating up, which allows the entire technique and the entire strike to kind of like rise, which actually hides the movement itself, which I find really cool. It's probably my favorite element of this. Something to look out for is that you still need to be closing distance, so you step and then rise. So the hardest part about rising up on this technique is actually the timing of it, because you want it to be timed with the strike rather than like pogo sticking. So if you guys want to see me talk more about this, head on over to Patreon. I'll be finishing the video there. But for those of you who are watching this version, practice rising up on your toes rather than just twisting on your kicks, and see if you can get that like floating rising on knees and kicks and teeps actually. So one of the things that I found incredibly difficult about working on this is that it makes my feet hurt a lot. I think one of the reasons that it hurts so bad is that I'm not used to using those muscles. So when you're actually like floating up on your toe, you're using muscles in your feet that you might not be using otherwise. It's like when you start running on your toes. I'm a toe runner anyway, but if you like start running on your toes and it's a different technique, you can really like shred the muscles in your feet. So be prepared for it to hurt for a while. Something that Pet was showing me when he was here, and why I was really focusing on this like floating up, make sure I'm in frame, why I was really focusing on this floating up is that you kind of want your knees to be coming straight up like this. If you're trying to come straight up like that and you leave your foot flat on the ground, you're actually just doing this. I just hurt my hamstring doing that. So trying to bring it up like this without coming up on your toe, you're not actually getting the same lift. The thing that was so cool about when Pet was showing it to me is that by looking at the center of his body, when he would float up on that knee, I couldn't actually see it coming. Something that I've noticed other people struggling with on the bag when they're trying to do it as well is that they don't understand how to cover the distance because they're used to sending their hip forward or leaning back on their knees. You don't lean back on the knees when you're bringing your foot up. So in order to cover the distance, you need to use the float and the step itself in order to cover that distance to get to the extension of your knee, but you're not leaning back. So you don't want to be covering distance like this, but you are going to be stepping and coming up, and you're like aiming to do basically an uppercut with your knee into someone's chest. And the float up actually allows you to cover way more distance. It's almost like a cross that's like coming this way or something. Like using your legs on an uppercut, you get like power and extension out of that. So that's something I'm working on. As I said, my feet hurt so bad from doing this, from going from, kind of coming, I come up on my toes when I kick and knee and things like this, but like really coming up on it. And I feel like this is an element that I would see Karahat floating on his kicks, but I didn't really understand how he's like coming straight forward with his chest and up on his toe, and then the strike is coming out of it. So it's still a work in progress, but by working so much on like making sure I come up on my toe on all of my strikes, I feel like I'm building these muscles that will make it more fluid and more invisible as I go. And what I was saying in the shorter version about this being about timing, when I trained with Charn Chai, who is like the master, he'll be in the Muay Thai library, he was talking about coming up off of your heel just a little bit at the same time that you're teeping, and it was all this like millisecond of timing to make this power work so that you don't like off balance yourself. I was laughing to myself when he was showing me because I was thinking of that line from Mean Girls where she's like, I used to just think they were fat and skinny, but it turns out there are lots of things that can be wrong with your body. I thought you could just teep well or not well, but it turns out you can have all these micro things wrong with your teep. And all of them, when I was working with him, were in the timing of coming up off of my heel and teeping at the same time. So that's a particular instance in which I could feel how important that rise was, but I'm working on it mostly on my knees and on my kicks in this kind of like floating coming up thing. So that's my technique vlog. Hope you guys are working on this as well. Let me know how it goes if you're working on it. And I've been standing on tennis balls and things like that to try to help my feet because it's so painful to be doing this. So expect the pain and find ways to work on it instead of just not doing it.